All right, so we've got a ton of stuff on Neuralink, and let me tell you, it gets pretty wild.
Yeah.
I mean, we're talking Elon Musk, brain chips, conspiracy theories,
Yeah.
enough to make your head spin. And so our mission today is to dive into those theories. We're going to be sifting through the claims, trying to separate fact from fiction, and seeing if Neuralink really could be used for
Yeah.
something way beyond its intended purpose.
Yeah, it's understandable why people are so intrigued and maybe even a little spooked by this technology. I mean, this isn't just another tech gadget, right? We're talking about a potential link between our brains and computers. And that taps into some pretty deep-seated fears, I think.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, so for anyone just tuning in, Neuralink is developing this brain-computer interface, a BCI. The idea is to let you control devices with your thoughts. Like, just think about that for a second.
Yeah.
The potential benefits are huge. I mean, helping people with paralysis regain movement, treating conditions like Parkinson's. I mean, that's amazing stuff.
Absolutely life-changing potential.
But there's this whole other side to the story.
Where the conspiracy theories.
Yes.
And the big one we keep seeing over and over again is this idea of mind control. You know, people are worried that Neuralink could be used to manipulate thoughts, emotions, even actions, like some kind of sci-fi puppet master scenario.
It's like straight out of the Matrix.
Right.
But
Yeah.
is that even remotely possible? I mean, how easy is it to actually control someone's brain like that?
Yeah, well, let's just say the
Yeah.
brain is not exactly a simple on-off switch. We're talking about billions of neurons firing in incredibly complex patterns.
Yeah.
To manipulate those patterns and actually control thoughts, you would need just an insane level of understanding.
Wow.
Think about it like this. Imagine trying to hack into the most sophisticated computer system ever, but you don't even know the programming language.
Yeah, you'd be more likely to.
Yeah.
To just, like, crash the system
Like-
than to actually install malicious software.
Exactly. Even something as basic as making a decision involves multiple brain regions firing in a very specific sequence. And to replicate that with a BCI, let alone control it, I mean, that's just beyond our current capabilities.
Okay, so full-blown mind control. Seems pretty far-fetched for now.
Hmm.
But what about this other fear? The hive mind idea. You know, Neuralink creating a network of connected minds. They can be controlled by some central authority.
Right. Yeah, the hive mind.
Spooky.
It often gets portrayed as this loss of individuality, where everyone's thoughts are synchronized. But think about it for a second. To create that kind of network, you wouldn't just need to control individual brains. You'd also need some super advanced tech infrastructure to connect them all.
Yeah, and let's not forget the human factor. I mean, people are diverse, people are independent. It's hard to imagine everyone just going along with that, becoming part of some collective consciousness.
Absolutely. Plus, there are already regulations in place to protect us from this kind of thing. You know, ethical guidelines,
Wow.
privacy laws, they all play a role in ensuring that brain research is conducted responsibly.
Okay, that makes me feel a little bit better. So you got mind control and the hive mind. Both pretty unlikely based on what we've talked about. But there's another scary thought out there. Could Neuralink be weaponized? I mean, imagine hackers getting into someone's brain implant or even using it to disrupt brain function. Talk about cyber warfare on a whole new level.
Chilling. But it's true. Anytime you have a powerful technology, there's always potential for misuse. Look at the internet. It can connect people, spread information. But it can also be used for cyber attacks and spreading misinformation. The same applies to BCIs. It's not that Neuralink is being designed as a weapon, but rather that any tech can be exploited.
So are we talking about like a realistic threat here? Or just something out of a sci-fi movie?
Well, it's important to stay realistic. I mean, weaponizing a BCI would require overcoming some massive technical hurdles. Plus, the development of security measures for these devices is a top priority. You know, think of it like any new software. There are always vulnerabilities, but security experts are constantly working to patch them.
Yeah, that makes sense. But you got to admit, it's still a little unsettling, right? This is our brain we're talking about. What if someone figured out a way to disrupt brain signals or even implant false memories?
It's healthy to acknowledge those concerns. I mean, it's what drives us to develop safeguards and ethical guidelines. It's like with any powerful tool, be it fire or nuclear energy, we need to respect its potential while also harnessing it for good.
Yeah, it's all about finding that balance, right?
Yeah.
Speaking of balance, we've been diving deep into the darker side of Neuralink. But there's a whole other side to this technology, the potential benefits, the incredible advancements it could bring.
Absolutely.
And in the next part of our deep dive, we'll explore those benefits. We'll look at the medical breakthroughs, the potential to enhance human capabilities, and even how Neuralink could reshape our understanding of consciousness itself.
That's where it gets really exciting.
I can't wait. Stay tuned, folks. Things are about to get really interesting.
Welcome back, So. We've tackled some of the big fears around Neuralink. Mind control, the hive mind weaponization. All pretty unsettling stuff, but now I'm curious, what stands out to you from all this?
Honestly,
Yeah.
is how quickly those fears jump to the forefront. I mean, we're talking about a company that wants to help people with paralysis, cure diseases, even enhance human capabilities.
Huh.
And yet the first thing that many people think of is some dystopian sci-fi scenario.
It's fascinating, isn't it? The potential for good is huge, but that fear of the unknown often overshadows it. It's like our imaginations run wild, filling in the gaps with worst-case scenarios.
Yeah, it's like we're programmed to think of the worst possible outcome.
Yeah.
So why is that? What is it about Neuralink specifically that triggers this kind of reaction?
Well, I think it boils down to the brain being this ultimate frontier, the seat of our identity, our thoughts, our memories. The idea of a device interacting directly with that is bound to create some anxiety.
Yeah, it's like that saying, the only thing we have to fear is fear itself. But when you're talking about something as powerful as the human brain, that fear takes on a whole new dimension.
For sure, and this fear gets amplified by the fact that we're really only just scratching the surface of understanding the brain. We're still figuring out how billions of neurons interact to create thoughts, emotions, consciousness itself. So when you introduce a technology that could potentially influence those processes, it's natural for people to jump to conclusions.
So we've got this fear of the unknown, this deep-seated anxiety about messing with our brains. But there's also this whole cultural narrative around brain-computer interfaces, right?
Absolutely. Science fiction has played a huge role in shaping our perceptions of this technology. Think about movies like The Matrix or Inception. They all tap into these fears of mind control manipulation and the blurring of lines between reality and simulation.
It's like those stories plant a seed in our subconscious. And then when a real-world technology like Neuralink comes along, that seed starts to sprout. And suddenly those fictional fears feel a lot more real.
Right, and it's not just science fiction either. We also have real-world examples of technology being used for surveillance, data collection, even manipulation. Look at social media algorithms. They're designed to keep us engaged, often at the expense of our privacy and critical thinking. So it's understandable that people would be wary of a technology that could potentially access our thoughts and emotions.
Right. It's like we're almost primed to believe the worst. But isn't there a danger in letting those fears dictate how we approach these advancements?
Yeah.
I mean, Neuralink has the potential to do so much good.
Absolutely. Fear can be paralyzing. It can prevent us from exploring the potential benefits of groundbreaking technologies. It's like being afraid to learn how to use fire because you're worried about getting burned.
So how do we find that balance then? How do we acknowledge the risks without letting fear stifle innovation?
Well, I think it starts with education. The more we understand about how the brain works and how Neuralink actually functions, the less room there is for speculation and fear-mongering.
Right. Knowledge is power. Yeah. And it can help us separate fact from fiction.
Exactly. And it's not just about understanding the science. It's also about having open and honest conversations about the ethical considerations, the potential risks, and the safeguards that need to be put in place.
So instead of jumping to conclusions, we need to engage in a thoughtful dialogue, one that acknowledges both the potential benefits and the potential pitfalls.
Precisely. It's about approaching this technology with a healthy dose of skepticism, sure, but also with a sense of curiosity and a willingness to explore the possibilities.
Okay, so we've talked about the fear factor, the cultural narratives, the importance of education and open dialogue. But there's another piece to this puzzle, right? The conspiracy theories themselves. What are some of the common themes that we see popping up?
Well, one recurring theme is this idea of a hidden agenda, that Neuralink isn't just about medical advancements or enhancing human capabilities, but rather it's part of some larger plan for control and manipulation.
Like some secret society is pulling the strings.
Exactly. There's this belief that someone, be it a government agency, a tech giant, or some shadowy cabal, is using Neuralink to gain power and influence over the population.
It's like that classic conspiracy theory trope. The idea that nothing is as it seems, that there's always some hidden motive behind the curtain. But why are people so quick to believe these narratives?
I think it speaks to a deeper sense of unease and distrust in the world. We live in an age of rapid technological advancement, increasing complexity, and a constant barrage of information. It can feel overwhelming, even disorienting. And in that context, conspiracy theories can offer a sense of order and control.
Yeah, it's like saying, okay, the world might be chaotic, But at least I understand this one thing. I know who the bad guys are, and I know what they're up to.
Right. It's a way of simplifying a complex reality, even if that simplification comes at the cost of accuracy and objectivity.
And these theories often tap into pre-existing fears and anxieties, right?
Absolutely. Fears about loss of privacy, loss of autonomy, loss of control. These are all very real concerns in the digital age. And conspiracy theories can exploit those fears,
Yeah.
twisting them into narratives that confirm our biases and reinforce our mistrust.
So it's like a perfect storm. We've got a groundbreaking technology that interacts with the human brain, a cultural landscape steeped in anxieties about mind control and artificial intelligence, and a growing sense of distrust in institutions and authority figures. It's no wonder that conspiracy theories flourish in this environment.
Exactly. And it's important to remember that these theories aren't just harmless speculation. They can have real-world consequences. They can spread misinformation, sow division, and even incite violence.
So what can we do about it? How do we navigate this landscape of fear, misinformation, and conspiracy theories?
Well, that's a question we'll delve into in the final part of our deep dive. We'll explore the importance of critical thinking, media literacy, and open dialogue in combating these harmful narratives.
It sounds like a plan. Stay tuned, folks. Things are about to get really interesting. Okay, so we're back for the final part of our Neuralink deep dive. We've explored the conspiracy theories, the psychology behind them, and now it's time to get practical. How do we actually navigate this world of misinformation, especially when it comes to something as complex and potentially game-changing as Neuralink?
It's a challenge for sure. We're bombarded with information from all sides, and it's easy to get caught up in those sensationalized headlines and fear-mongering narratives. But the key is to really develop those critical thinking skills.
Yeah, give us the tools. We need to be savvy consumers of information.
Okay, so first off, let's talk about sources. Not all information is created equal. You know, a random post on social media shouldn't hold the same weight as a peer-reviewed scientific article or a report from a reputable news organization.
So it's like checking the ingredients before you buy something at the grocery store. Make sure you're getting quality information, not just junk food for the brain.
Exactly. Look for sources that are transparent about their methods, cite their evidence, and have a track record of accuracy.
Okay, so we're checking our sources, making sure we're getting information from credible places. What else should we be looking for?
Look for evidence. Conspiracy theories often rely on speculation, vague connections, anecdotal evidence. They might sound compelling, but they lack that solid foundation of facts.
So if someone claims that Neuralink is being secretly controlled by the government,
Yeah.
we should be asking, okay, where's the proof? What evidence do you have to back that up?
Exactly. Don't just take things at face value. Dig deeper. Ask questions. Demand evidence. And when evidence is presented, scrutinize it.
Yeah.
Is it based on reliable data? Has it been independently verified? Or is it just cherry-picked information designed to fit a pre-existing narrative?
So it's like being a detective. We've got to gather the clues, examine the evidence,
Yeah.
and see if it all adds up.
And sometimes, even when we think we've got a solid case, it's important to consider alternative explanations. Conspiracy theories often present a very narrow, often sensationalized view of events. They tend to ignore the complexities and nuances of reality.
Okay, so step back. Look at the bigger picture. Are there other possible explanations that might be more plausible? Are there factors that the theory isn't taking into account?
Right. And remember, extraordinary claims require extraordinary evidence. If someone is making a claim that seems outlandish or too good to be true, be extra skeptical. Demand a higher level of proof.
It's like that saying, if it sounds too good to be true, it probably is. Apply that same logic to conspiracy theories.
Absolutely. And finally, don't be afraid to seek out expert opinions. There are scientists, researchers, journalists, ethicists who are dedicating their lives to understanding these complex issues. Look for those voices, read their work, listen to their perspectives.
So it's all about being proactive, right? Doing our own research, engaging with diverse perspectives, and not just blindly accepting what we see or hear.
Exactly. It's about cultivating that critical thinking mindset, constantly questioning, evaluating, and seeking the truth.
Well said. And, as we wrap up this deep dive, I think it's important to remember that Neuralink, while it is a real company developing some incredible technology, is still in its early stages. Many of these conspiracy theories are based on speculation about what might happen, not on what's actually happening right now.
That's a crucial point. It's easy to get caught up in hypotheticals and worst-case scenarios. But we need to ground our understanding in reality, in the facts as we know them.
Right. And as this technology continues to develop, it's crucial that we have those open and honest conversations about the ethical implications, the potential risks, and the safeguards we need to put in place. It's a conversation that needs to involve not just scientists and engineers, but policymakers, ethicists, and the public at large.
Absolutely. This is a technology that has the potential to reshape our world in profound ways. And it's up to all of us to ensure that it's used responsibly, ethically, and for the benefit of all humanity.
Well said. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive into the world of Neuralink and the conspiracy theories surrounding it. We've explored the fears, the facts, and the importance of critical thinking. And as always, we encourage you to continue the conversation, to do your own research, and to form your own informed opinions. Until next time, stay curious, stay skeptical, and keep those minds sharp.